And so we want to give you better skills at being able to understand the National Electrical Code. And that's what our Fast Track system is all about. It is a trademarked system that actually teaches you the National Electrical Code, not just gives you exam questions, not just tries to regurgitate the code. Our program is designed for you to read the code information. We paraphrase it in our lesson, and we give you illustrations. And then in the lesson, we actually have chevrons that you stop and go to the NEC, read the NEC, and then come back to the actual lesson. And it helps you understand the code. And of course, if you're in our 2020 or 2023 programs, we also have a neat feature called Fast Tracks Interact, which means that you can actually post images, questions, screenshots, all right in your Fast Tracks program. So there's nothing else like it out there on the market. If you're trying to learn the National Electrical Code and you're studying for an electrical exam, then you want to get our basic or our enhanced program if you're in the 2020 or 2023. If you're in the 2017 NEC, then you want to look at our Black or our Plus program. Now, if you already are licensed, you already have a license and you're just thinking, I just want to get better at the National Electrical Code. I want to be better for my maybe my employees. I want to be better as a leader of a group. Then we have a program for you. It's called Mastering the NEC. And basically, what that does, it puts an expert in your pocket. So we have a little bit of something for everybody. We even have grounding and bonding programs as well, because everybody needs to know grounding and bonding. Okay? All right, on today's lesson, we're going to look at some exam prep questions, and we're going to dissect them, give you a little bit of understanding of how you would prepare for an exam, because in our Fast Tracks program, we also give you over 700 exam-style questions that are very similar to what you would see on an electrical exam. Not to mention, our competency reviews give you additionally hundreds of other very tough questions that you have to dissect out. And really, Unit 8, 11, and 13 in our program is the make or break for many people, because it's calculations and it really gets you looking at single family, multifamily, commercial. And that's where you might have questions. And that's why the Fast Tracks Interact feature was something that we introduced a couple months ago, back in 2024, that makes it so powerful. Because not only are you just buying books, buying DVDs, but you actually get somebody, an instructor, that interacts with you, and all the students in your course can interact at the same time. Very powerful. That's why it's called the Fast Tracks system. All right, let's go on and get to some questions. All right, let's go here first. Okay, so here we got question. And here, let's see here. Let's go on and dissect this thing out and show you how you would do that. So the first question we have, it says, a lighting load for a 12,000 square foot apartment building. Okay, so we're thinking this is apartment building. So you have single family dwellings, two family dwellings, and you have multi-family dwellings. And all we're looking for is the lighting load, right? Okay, and this is for a multi-family building. All right, so it says not using the energy codes adopted by the local AHJ. Okay, so we're simply going to be looking at the square footage. We're not worrying about any energy codes in this question. And we simply are sizing what is the actual VA that we're going to use in our load calculation. Now, again, we always assume what? We always will assume the standard method. Always the standard method unless somebody states otherwise. Okay, so if the exam question says use the optional, then there is an optional way to do this. But when it doesn't tell you that, and it's just a lighting load question, we're going to use the standard method. Okay, and oh, by the way, we're in the 2023 edition of the National Electrical Code. Just want to keep that, make sure we're aware of that. All right, so here we go. So here are our choices. We have 12,000, we have 14,550, we have 16,250, and we have 36,000. Where are we going to go to get this answer? All right, well, so we're going to have to go to the National Electrical Code. And so I'm going to go there. And here we're in the National Electrical Code, and we're in 220.41. This is dwelling units, minimum unit load. Now you'll notice it says right here, one family dwelling, two family dwelling, and multifamily dwelling. And this is under Part 3 of Article 220. So we know this deals with the standard method. Again, Nothing was said in our question about utilizing the optional method, okay? Now, we're in here and it says the minimum unit load shall be not less than 3 VA per square foot, okay? So that's typically what we use, 3 VA per square foot, okay? Now, it says the unit load includes what? The lighting and receptacle. This is the general use receptacle outlet application, but our question just wanted to know what was the general lighting, okay? So we're going to go back to the question. So we know it's 3 VA per square foot, okay? Now, we're not talking about a commercial building. In that scenario, we'd be looking and saying, well, aren't you talking about the lighting loads for non-dwellings? No, we're not going to be working in 220.42. That's for non-dwelling applications. We're dealing with the dwelling application, right? So that's important for us to distinguish the two. All right, so let's go on and get back to our question. And let's do a little math here. So we know it's 3 VA per square foot, right? So we're going to go, and it was 12,000. So we're going to go 12,000 times 3. That's 36,000. That is, again, it didn't ask us after adjustment and corrections. It didn't ask any of that stuff. It basically wanted to know what was the lighting load in VA. And we went and found that it was 3 VA per square foot. Okay, and that's only the question it's asking. It didn't ask you to go out and size the service. It didn't say go any further than that. Be careful. Only answer what they ask you. Okay, so in this case down here, there you go, 36. And code reference, as you can see, 220.41. So in our program, not only do we give you the reference again, and some things might be electrical theory, and you should have learned that as you work through the trade, practical stuff, because we're focusing on teaching you what's in the NEC. And theory is pretty much not an NEC thing. That's something you should learn in the field. Okay. All right, let's go to the next one. All right. So the next question that we have, it says, is a blank AWG conductor is the minimum size conductor permitted in a cable bus. Okay, so again, on the exam, you should be using your index. Your index, you go look and see if there's anything in the index for cable bus, okay? Or, you know that's a type of wiring method. You could go to the beginning of the NEC and look at the table of contents and find out, okay, what article is dealing with that, okay? And you might see that there is a specific article that deals with cable bus. And I can tell you, one of the things that you need to get used to is the fact that when you can identify that an article is fairly small, it's easier to use a technique that we call bold scanning. And that is where once I've done your study, you're in a structured program like ours, and you realize that the article's not very big, then you want to go to that article and start bold scanning. And in this case, we're looking for minimum size conductors because that's what the question asks. And it also gives us some sizes in the actual question, right? So it's telling us a 1 gauge, it's telling us a 1/0, a 2, a 2/0. So we've got some sizes here that it is giving us. Okay, so we can use all of this together when we bold scan, right? So we're gonna go to the NEC, and again, I will tell you, we do not have the index because a link, is what we're using, does not give us the index. So you could go to the index and look under for cable bus, things like that. But we're going to use the table of contents. And if you go to the table of contents, you go down and you into chapter 3, you'll notice that when you get down to 370, it says what? Cable bus. So you're going to click on that, and that's where you're going to go. Now we're going to bold scan it because I can tell you cable bus is not a big article. So what are we looking for is minimum conductor sizing, and we're using all of the sizes that we saw in the question. So we bold scan, and that's where you go and look and see that has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with the question. It has nothing to do with the conductor sizing, okay? But I see in here sizes in here. Okay, we see one right here. It says A2, and we see 1/0. Remember, we use the sizes, but that is sizes, okay? And we see B not smaller than, okay? No case B smaller than. All those are minimum rules, okay? And as you can see, I just want to show you that it's not a very big article. So we'll just kind of scroll down and boom. And then once you get to construction specifications, that's pretty much outside of what we're looking at. So as you can see, that's it. Maybe a page and a half in your code book. But as you're bold scanning or getting used to that bold scanning technique, I want you to get used to index searching, looking for target words or keywords in the question that tells you kind of where to go. And it's not going to always be so easy, right? Not as easy as, oh, cable bus. I'm just going to go to the index and look for cable bus. It may be more difficult than that. That's why we do structured training, because we're going to teach you these things. You're going to move in and out of the code book. And some things you're just going to look at it and go, dude, that's Article 370. Article 370 is very small. I'm going to go there rather than try to hunt through the index, that type of thing. Now, if you aren't practicing your different articles and getting used to the articles so you can rattle them off, 230 for services, 225 for outdoor branch and feeders, 215 for feeders, 210 for branch circuits, 240 for overcurrent protected device. If you're not doing 430 for motors, things like that, 550 mobile homes, manufactured homes, if you're not looking for things like that, you need to get familiar with the articles. And so that in an exam, but also out in the field, when you do need to go to your code book, it all comes to you. So again, in our program, also what you get is you will also get flashcards built into the extra bundle. It's in the very last module of our program. We do give you flashcards and things like that. So don't worry. We give you all the tools to be successful. But look, that should not stop you from creating your own flashcards. Go out to the dollar store, Dollar Tree, whatever, and buy you some index cards. Take your index cards and write on one side the article, on the other side what the article is. Practice them over and over again. Flashcards, have your wife do it, your kids test you, that type of thing. It just makes you better, not just for an exam, but better and more proficient in the code. Look, guys and gals, we're code professionals. We're electrical professionals. This is our profession. I'm not going to a dentist to get brain surgery, okay? We are specialists in what we do. We're only on this rock a short amount of time. You should be wanting to get more knowledge, to be that go-to person in your company. Or if you're the leader or the owner, you want to have that command over the NEC that your guys and gals come to you for this advice, and you should be willing to give it because that's a leadership moment, right? Okay, I'm not doing this just to sell courses. I honestly have always believed, and I can put my proof in what I say, because I have proof of all the way back when I was 16 years old. While other kids were going summer school or going away for the summer, I was taking summer classes to learn the NEC. Yeah, it's 16 years old, all the way back in the 80s. So look, I'm telling you, I've done it. I preach it. It's not just about selling courses. It's a lifestyle. And you are a professional, like a lawyer, a doctor, a physician. You're an electrician. You shouldn't just go do work and just assume you're doing it right. You need to know that you're doing it right. Everything you do is based on the National Electrical Code. Everything you do is based on a minimum safety standard, okay? Okay, enough of the preaching. I'll get you back to the lesson, okay? So when we go back to the NEC here, all right, and we're at the buses. And again, as you can see, we bold scan it down. And of course, you see conductor size. And then you see that it is 1 gauge down here is the 1 aught, is the minimum size. All right, so let's get back to the question. And in the question, we're going to answer it 1 aught. And there you go. And there's your code reference right there. And that is 370.20A2. And that's where we were at. Okay, makes sense? All right, let's go do another one. Okay. The maximum size overcurrent protected device. I love that, folks, when they say maximum size overcurrent protected device. Think about this, because for this question, there's going to be a minimum and a maximum. This is going to be a great one for you. All right, it says the maximum size overcurrent protected device used to protect a water heater that is 240 volts and is rated 4,500 watts. Now, I know what you folks are thinking. You're thinking, not enough information here. Well, it didn't say anything about the gallons. So it didn't say it's 120 gallons or less. Didn't say anything about that. So we have minimum rules that we follow in 422.13, right? We have some minimum rules. But there are maximum rules as well, okay? And so let's see here. Let's move my screen, make sure my screen, yeah, it's working. Okay, so we have maximum rules we have to follow. So this is so important because I have people that'll look at that question and go, Paul, that question is not answerable. Of course it's answerable. It wants to know the maximum size over current protection. It doesn't want to know the minimum size. It want to know the maximum size, right? So let's go to the code book, right? So first things first, you know that a water heater is an appliance. 422 is the article that governs appliances, right? Now, you could go to the index and look under water heater, things like that, overcurrent protection. Those are all trigger words that you need to be doing as you're studying, going to the index, looking and see if any of these words in here help you find the answer or get you where you need to be, okay? And go back and forth into the index, okay? But as you start to learn in a structured program, you're going to learn, and we teach this lesson in our program, that this is obviously an appliance. And this is a maximum question, not a minimum question. Let me show you the difference, okay? All right, so let's go to the NEC. All right, so here's the NEC, and we're going to go back. So the first thing we'll go to is appliances. Okay, and we'll go here to, oops, sorry, brain fart. Yes, I said that on camera. So we'll go to appliances. So we're at 422 appliances. And more specifically, we're going to go down to the one we talked about earlier, which is storage type. Okay. Now, we did not say a word about storage type. We didn't say it was 120 gallons or not. But I do want you to know that this is a minimum rule, right? It says the branch circuit overcurrent protection and the conductors for fixed storage type water heaters that have a capacity of 120 gallons or less shall have an ampacity not less than 125%. That's the conductors and the overcurrent device. That's not less than. That's a minimum rule. Not less than. Could be more, but not less than. Okay? If you want to oversize it, go for it. You want to make it bigger conductors? Go for it. But it can't be less than. All right? What do we want to look at? Well, we want to look at 422.11. Again, specifically to overcurrent protection for appliances. We know the water heater is an appliance. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down here and we're looking at E. E is for a single non-motor operated appliance. That's a water heater. Okay, so this is a maximum rule versus what we just saw was the minimum rule. Plus, we have nothing in the question about 120 gallons. So again, all these things to try to lead you away from what the answer should be. All right, so first thing is, it says if the branch circuit supplies a single non-motor operated appliance, it does, the rating of the overcurrent protection shall comply with the following. So the question was about overcurrent protection. Okay, it says number one, not exceed the overcurrent protection rating marked on the appliance. Ours was not marked. All it gave us was 4,500 watts, and it gave us the voltage. Okay, so we can do real quick a little math. So we had 4,500 watts. Here's a calculator, right? And I'm going to divide that by 240. And that was 18.75. Okay, so that's our amps for that 4,500. Now, we're not doing the application for the 120 gallon or less where you do it 125%. That's not part of this question. So stay with me. Not part of the question. Focus. All right, so it's not marked on there. We're given the values in voltage and we're given the values in wattage. So obviously the amps, the rating is not marked on it. Number two, not exceeding 20 amperes if the overcurrent protection rating is not marked, okay? And the appliance is rated 13.3 amps or less, okay? So it can't, the overcurrent can exceed 20 amperes if the overcurrent protection rating is not marked and the appliance does not exceed 13.3 amps. Well, guess what? We already know ours was what? 18.75. So we're exceeding the 13.3 amps. So we're going down to item number 3. Item number 3 says now, not exceed, there's your maximum, not exceed 150% of the appliance rated current if the overcurrent protection rating is not marked, and it was not marked, we calculated it out, and the appliance is rated over 13.3 amperes. says where 150% of the appliance rating does not correspond to the standard overcurrent device rating, the next standard size can be used. Okay, it's permitted to go up to the next standard size. Oh, all right, so got to go back to the question now. So we know what we're dealing with. So let's go back to the question. All right, so we're saying, okay, in this question, I know I've got 18.75 amps. So I go 18.75 amps, and I can go up to what? 150% times 1.50. That equals 28.125, okay? You're saying, well, what can I go to, right? Saying, okay, well, let me ask you a question. Do you think that a 28.125 rated overcurrent protection device exists? Remember what it said in the rule? You can go up to 150%, but if it doesn't correspond, you can go to the next standard size. Well, let's just go and see what the next standard size would be. And so here we're back in the NEC, and we're going to go to where? That's right, 240.6, because that 240 is for overcurrent protection. The .6 is that nice little list of the different ratings of the standard size overcurrent protected devices. So we're going to go to 240.6. These are things you learn in our program, folks, and you just need to. That's why I believe in a structured plan. That's why I believe you can't just grab a code book and start flipping. You might get lucky enough to pass because you've been doing it a long time. But if you want to really focus and get it quickly, structured training that feeds you the information that you need to know is the only way to go. Get out there, make that money, get that license. If you happen to fail, it's okay. You could take it again. Sometimes people just don't test well. It's all good. All right, so here's the standard sizes, right? And we needed one for 28.125. Well, I think you can see that we don't have anything. It's 25, and then the next size would be a 30. So because it does not correspond, guess what? It said it right in the rule. I can go up to the next standard size. So that would be a 30 amp overcurrent protected device, right? So we go back to the question. Here's the question, and the answer would be 30. Reference, there it is. 422.11 E3, that's exactly where we were at, and that answers the question. So remember, folks, it's so important to understand the question and really stop and read it. This was a maximum size. It could have been a minimum size question, and they would have had to give you what? They would have given you the gallons of the water heater and all that type of stuff, right? So important. Understand that that question said maximum, okay? You want to do another one? Okay, we'll do one more, and we'll go to the next one. Okay. Next question. Each device on a strap or yoke, so if you have a receptacle or a switch, you have the metal strap that mounts it to the box, and you have, whether it's a duplex receptacle, simplex receptacle, switch, they're all mounted on a yoke or a strap, okay? It says each device on a yoke or strap installed in a device box shall be counted as blank conductors. So this question should stick out to you right away as a box fill question, because it's saying, okay, so if it's a receptacle, duplex, simplex, switch, it's going in a device box. Obviously, looking at this, it's taking up a volume. And the code says that it counts as a 1 volume or 2 volume or double volume. You have to look at it and say, okay, well, this is clearly a box fill. Now, where does box fill come into play? Well, if you've been in our program, you know where box fill is. All right, so one of those things that I like to do is say, okay, if I go to the index, I'm looking up things like box fill. I'm looking at things like device box. I'm looking all those triggers in this question to possibly lead me, where I think I need to be, okay? But some of these questions you're just going to know. You're going to look at it because you've been through a structured program like ours. You're going to say, well, this is clearly a box fill question, right? And so where do we go? All right. Well, we know that we go to box fill. We're going to Article 314 and specifically to Section 16 because we're looking at box fill. So that's where we're going to go. So let's go to the NEC and we're going to go to 314, which is titled Outlet, Device, Pull, and Junction Boxes. So we're going to go to 314. And then we're going to go down to 16. And 16 is titled number of conductors in outlet, device, and junction boxes. So outlet boxes, device boxes, and junction boxes, and of course conduit bodies that are marked as such with their actual cubic inch. All right, so what we want to go to is we're going to go down and we're going to be scrolling down, and we got box fill calculations. That's what we're doing. And we're talking about a device, okay? And so we're going to scroll down and here, see what it says? Device or equipment, okay? I don't know why that's popping up. All right, so it says each yoke or strap containing one or more devices. So a simplex on a strap, that's fine. A duplex, it's still on a strap, it's fine. Triplex on one strap, it's fine. Switch, one strap, it's fine. It's saying a double volume count in accordance with table 314.16b1 shall be made for each yoke or strap based on the largest conductor connected to the device. Okay? Makes sense? Now, many people here will start going down here and start doing volume counts. Okay? But you have to remember the question. Okay? Just remember, let's go back to the question. Again, these are important things I want to point out. Notice what was not given in the question. It didn't say anything about the conductor size. It didn't say whether it's a 14 gauge, 12 gauge, 10 gauge. So the mind starts thinking, crap, I got to go to this volume table. Then they look at it and go, wait a minute, you can't answer this question. Yeah, you can. Because the table was telling you what each conductor represents in volume as one conductor. Well, what did the code rule say? It said a double volume count, which equals 2 conductors, right? How do you get that? Again, for those that say, Paul, I just don't get it. See down here, it says the free space for each conductor. So, for example, if it was 12 gauge, it would be 2.25, okay, cubic inches, okay? But that's for one conductor. Remember, and so that represents one conductor. Notice up here it says per conductor, one conductor. Up here, it made it very clear that it's a double volume. So it equates to 2.25 if it was 12 gauge times 2 because it was 2 conductors, right? Because this 2.25 is per conductor. Be careful. It's all about the verbiage. It's all about how you read it. And you have to know that a double volume simply means 2 conductors. 2 conductors, if it was 12 gauge, it would be 2.25 each. If it was 14, it'd be 2.00 each. But it still represents what? 2 conductors. Be very careful in the question. No, it's not a trick question. It's just trying to let you read it and not get lost and say, wait a minute, they didn't give me the conductor we're talking about. That makes a difference. It does not make any difference in this question because a double volume count equates to 2 conductors. And that's the answer. And there's your reference, 314.16b4. Okay? All right, let's take it back to me. So look, folks, I'm here to help you. Our programs are designed to help answer questions while you're in the program. We also have paulabernathy.com that you can send us questions. There's so many illustrations. We have chevrons that teach you to go in and out of the lesson. We have the extra database of questions that also has flashcards. It also has additional quizzes and videos in there as well. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of exam-style questions that are very similar to what you'd see on an exam. The competency reviews will test your knowledge. We teach you calculations. We teach you single family. We teach you multifamily. We teach you the standard method, the optional method. There is nothing else out there that is as comprehensive as what we do here in the Fast Tracks program. So if you're interested in it, you see it scrolling across the bottom, go to fasttracksystem.com. We'd love to have you in the family. We also have a live feature that you can ask us questions. We have people standing by to answer questions about our courses. If you're interested, check it out, folks. We appreciate you watching this video, and we'll